This is a question that comes up time and time again. Why do we learn rudiments? Well, if you want to play stuff like this, this, or this, rudiments are integral. In this video, we'll be looking at 3 different drum rudiments: a double stroke roll, a paradiddle, and a paradiddle-diddle. For each of those, I'll play the rudiment on the snare drum, and then I'll show you how each of those can fit inside some drum grooves and drum fills. So first, we'll start with the double stroke roll. And you want to focus on evenness and consistency with all the notes. So the first example that I'm going to show you is this groove. So the double stroke in that situation was on the hi-hat with my right hand. So we've got a single followed by a double. So I'll play that groove a little bit slower. When I'm playing that groove, it feels pretty comfortable and I'm not really spending much time thinking about the different strokes that I'm playing. And the only reason that's the case is because I've been practicing the double strokes. Now let's check it out in a fill scenario. The final example for double strokes is going to be a jazz style groove at a high tempo, and this is how it sounds. In that example, all my double strokes were coming from my left hand in a triplet form, so starting with the right hand, right, left, left, right, left, left. Next up is a paradiddle. The first use case that I'm going to show you is to transition from a drum fill and then play a left hand crash and then go on to the ride. So if you're starting with the hi-hat groove over here, playing a drum fill, crash with your left hand, and then transition to a ride groove. This is how it goes. So the paradiddle in that example came from the snare, tom, floor tom fill. So we have, and then crash with the left hand. So the reason that comes in handy is when you want to free up your right hand and also not play the crash across your body like this. So if you were playing it as single strokes, you'd be doing right, left, and then having to come across with your right hand and then back to the ride with your right hand as well. But in this example, being able to play a paradiddle so easily allows you to play the crash with your left hand, opens up your body, and then carry on the ride. So the next example I'm going to show you is on the hi-hat, and we're going to be doing a sneaky little flick with the left hand. Let me show you that now. The reason why that comes in handy is it allows you to play the backbeat on both the snare and the hi-hat, instead of playing regular single strokes that will take your hands into a double-handed position. So this is how it would sound with regular single strokes. And with the paradiddle, the last example is a drum groove that's built entirely around paradiddles. So you're basically playing the same thing as you would on a snare drum, right, left, 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 but splitting it between the ride, the hats, and the snare drum. And that's just a really nice groove to play, and changing up the accents as well, where you put the accent on the paradiddle can create a really nice groove. Lastly, we'll be looking at a paradiddle-diddle, and this is how it goes. So if you didn't know already, a paradiddle-diddle is a right, left, left, left. So it stays on the same hand instead of alternating hands like the paradiddle does. These are really handy in drum solo or drum fill situations like this. So for that example, I was putting the first note on the toms and the rest of the notes on the snare. And ending with a right left. Another example that you could use this in is in a groove type setting on the hi-hat, like this. So you're playing the paradiddle-diddle all on the hi-hat, and then followed by an open hi-hat, and then back into the groove. So for this last example, I'm going to include all of the rudiments that we've looked at today. We've got the double strokes, paradiddle and paradiddle-diddle, and I'll just incorporate them into some drum fills and drum grooves just to give you some examples. So I hope that gave you some inspiration to work on your drum rudiments and to try and incorporate them into your own playing. If you had a favourite, let me know in the comments, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one.